Okay, so today I decided that I was gonna do a bit of a different video, because, um, there have been some things going on, and, whether you guys know this or not, I have actually worked 3 jobs in the past 2 years. The first one was at a Best Western, branch hotel. It was called Sure Stay. And to be fairly honest, working at Sure Stay was awesome. It didn't suck. It didn't feel like death working there. It actually was rather nice. I loved working there. One of my best friends, Hunter, I think he's subscribed to this channel. Everybody in the comments that's watching this video, if you can, just say hi to Hunter. Just put in the comments, hi Hunter, or something like that. Say your highs to him because he's awesome. He's stuck with me from Sure Stay till now. And just this dude is amazing. So everybody give it up for him. He's just amazing. But him and his brother JJ, who is also awesome, I will say that. We all used to work in Sure Stay about two years ago. Yes, because it is now what is it? It is now April, so about 3 years ago. When I started working there. So we've been working together for 3 years, or we had worked together 3 years ago. We worked together for about 6 months before we all ended up leaving. But to be fair, working there was awesome. It was the first job I had ever had, and when I worked there, excuse me, when I worked there, it was like I'd say it was a turning point. It definitely helped me to learn how to work, learn how to, you know, I guess learn how to clean certain things. And just working there was awesome. But those are not that's not the job that we're getting into today. I just figured I'd say that because that was the first job I worked at. Again, everybody that can, just give Hunter a good hi in the comments. He deserves it. He's awesome. He definitely deserves that hi. But we're gonna get into the 2 other jobs that I've worked that have been actual problems. Okay. Now, I'm going to say this. The people that work at each one, some of my coworkers are awesome, okay? Some of my coworkers then and now, which I will be quitting this other one in a few days because they've already pushed me to my limit, and I've only worked there for maybe 3 months. But they've done it, okay? Especially since they're already saying that I'm fired, even though they have not fired me. So, I'm going to be quitting so that it sets it in stone. So, we're going to go to the first one. This one is called Retreat. If you know, you know. It's the only retreat on the goddamn planet. This place is garbage. Long pause. I don't care. I don't care. People who have gone there, you can get mad at me all you want in the comments. You can dislike the video if you like. That's what the dislike button is there for. If you don't enjoy this, or if you don't have the same opinion, the comment section is always there. Just please keep it friendly, because I will be deleting comments that are rather rude or disrespectful. Towards me, at least. Towards this place, I don't mind them because it was just garbage. Retreat, I worked as a janitor and a food service worker. So I would take people's orders. If you were one of the people that I served, awesome. I loved serving people at Retreat. It was amazing. Most of the customers that I saw They were lovely people. I mean, most of the people that I've seen here, whenever I'm working, most of the customers, at least here, they're always such nice people, and I love customers. Okay, all of you who are good customers out there, you are awesome people. You are lovely people. You deserve so much more respect than I'm sure people give you for, because you're good people. But when I worked there, it was amazing. I enjoyed working there. I made ice cream. I served people their food, brought it to them. Now we get to the problemary people, okay? The first person, yes, I am going to be naming names, okay? I'm going to be naming names because I just don't care. That's just how badly they pushed it. I don't care if I give out their names. Now, one of them, I'm going to call her a different name because she didn't exactly do much wrong. However, she wasn't a good manager, mainly because she was 16, but she was not a good manager. I'm going to call her Kathleen, okay? That's not her name, but I'm going to call her Kathleen. Kathleen was a pretty good manager. She was mainly quiet most of the time, but she wasn't great either, right? She was not a great manager for mainly the reason that if she ever got emotional, she'd lose her mind, right? And I don't mean in like an insane way. I mean like she would yell at me specifically for this, depending on what it is. Like if I'm messing up a little bit, she would lose her cool with me. One time I even had to tell her to take a chill pill and calm down because she just decided to yell at me. She apologized, and that's something that I like. Kathleen was freaking awesome. I will say, she wasn't terrible. She wasn't great, but she wasn't terrible. But then we have the other person. The other quote-unquote manager. And I'm putting that in quotes because she was barely what you'd call a manager, okay? I'm going to say her name outright, Alexis, okay? She was a pile of garbage. Straight up. A pile of garbage. Y'all know that one person that you know in your life. You may not have an idea of what I'm talking about here, but somebody has something, okay? You can ask literally anybody and they'll know a person like this who acts entitled to everything, and if given any power at all, will abuse it like a drunk dad who abuses his family, okay? She will just abuse it like it's going out of style. Now this woman, I'm not saying her name again, just because if she happens to come across this video, I don't want her to get mad for the second time, because she's already been a problem. Now, again, I'm sorry for anybody out there who is named Alexis, because I'm not talking about you. Believe me, I am not talking about you. I am just talking about this one person. When I worked at Retreat, it was garbage. Again, I'm going to say it outright. It was garbage. There was this one time. There was a new kid that worked there. I'll call him, what should I call him? I'll just call him like Jeff or something. Yeah, Jeff. We'll go with that. Jeff was new there, and he was pretty good. He was pretty good for just starting out, especially since when I was working there and he had just started, I had been working there for maybe 3 months at that point. So I had gotten pretty accustomed to pretty much everything. Now, I'm not saying that I'm the best at working, okay? We all make mistakes when we're working. So I was accustomed to most things. I wasn't accustomed to everything. But while I was working there, the Jeff was having a problem because while he was looking over we had a little metal container thing, like metal shelf that was heated. So the cooks would make the food, would make the customer's order, and when they made the customer's order, they would place it on this heating thing. Whenever they put it on the heating thing, they would say order when the order was done. Well, he was trying to figure out where things were going. And I politely asked the customer that I was helping, or that I was going to help, because I just helped somebody and there was like a little line. So I helped I helped this one person, and I looked at the next customer. I said, "Could you give me 1 second?" And she very nicely said yes. Like, these are the kind of customers that I'm talking about that are just amazing. But the customer said she didn't mind waiting for a second so I could go help him. So I went over to Jeff to help him bag up an order because he was new. He didn't know how to bag up an order yet. So I was just like, okay, so you take this, you put this here. Because how we did it was we were supposed to put the fries at the bottom, and we were supposed to put them like straight up, because it was a little cardboard, square cardboard thing without a top that we'd put the fries in. And when we did, we were supposed to put them right side up at the bottom of the food bag, so that it was a paper bag. So we had to put it right side up at the bottom of the paper bag so that it didn't spill out into the bottom of the bag, make it soggy and rip. So we would do that, put the burger on top, put a pretzel on top, stuff like that. I went over to help Jeff, to help him bag up his order. And Alexis comes around the corner and looks at me with the most idiotic face I have ever seen. Looks at me and, in the same tone as my own mother, said, "Get back over there." That, for those of you that don't know, who have never worked before or have not had that experience before, they can't do that. Anybody that works as a manager cannot do that. I am helping somebody else. I politely asked the customer to wait. The customer didn't mind waiting for a second. You do not get to yell at me, and you especially don't get to talk to me like you're my mother. So, we have that instance. Then we have another instance where I was cleaning the bathrooms, right? And I will say, from something that I learned from my old boss from SureStay, was you work as fast and as efficient as possible. So you get it done quickly, but you do it efficiently. That's something that I've stuck by. So, when I did the bathrooms, I tried to do them as quickly and efficiently as possible. I'd wipe the mirrors, wipe the sinks, wipe the walls, wipe the toilet, stuff like that. This one time, I missed just the tiniest bit, like the tiniest spot on the toilet bowl. She went in there. She brought me in there, which, by the way, I was not comfortable with. Because this was me, a 14-year-old. Yes, I was 14 when I worked there. It was me, a 14-year-old, and her, a 29-year-old. Okay? That was extremely uncomfortable and extremely just not okay. So I stood in the doorway, and she tried to point at the toilet bowl the toilet bowl. And she was just sitting there yelling at me, cussing at me, just basically belittling me because I had missed the tiniest spot on the toilet. That was just how she was. She's a piece of crap. She now works with my dad at a hotel, and she is the same way with him. She is a piece of garbage. Hold on, excuse me. Sorry about that. Anyways. She was just a piece of crap, and she still is. But She was not the only one. The other person, this person, I'm not going to name her name because of how much of a freaking temper tantrum she has, or temper problem she has. I'll name her... Can't name her Kathleen because we already have one. Jessica. We'll name her Jessica, okay? So, Jessica, one time, Kathleen was with me in the front, and because Jessica seems to have an anger problem. To the point where one time I was cleaning I was helping with the morning shift, excuse me. Sorry, I went down there for a second. I was working from 11 to 4, I think. So we had the morning rush, which Jessica was looking for a receipt, and she has so much of an anger problem that she asked it angrily, where is the receipt for this? So where it would obviously be or on that same metal shelf, we have a little thing that we put the receipts on, or as we called them, tickets. We'd put them up there so that you could see what order it was, you could match it, and then put it in a bag and then give it to the right person. She was wondering where it was. It was on that, in my hand, because I was reading the order, making sure that I had bagged everything up properly. When she asked where it was, I held it up to show her where it was, and she snatched it out of my hand with the force of God. I was not happy about this. So what I did was I went to a manager later, because she was supposed to be a manager. She didn't act like one. I went to a manager and I told her that she snatched a receipt out of my hand quite forcefully and quite aggressively. So that manager, talked to her about it, so on and so forth. That leads us to this area that we're at now, this time frame now. I'm up at front with Kathleen. My friend Jack, I'll call him by his normal name because this is another guy that he's freaking awesome. Okay, he still works there. I feel sorry for him because he has to work there, but he still works there. He's awesome. Okay. We did have an altercation when I started working there of him, he made a joke that was a little too much. You have that one joke that's funny, it's dark humor. But then you have that one dark humor that's just too far. He did that, and we had a little bit of an altercation. I went to the manager, but all in all, we fixed that. He's still an awesome guy. Well, I was up in front with Jack and Kathleen, and we're just sort of talking because I had just gotten there. Jessica pulls me in the back and begins yelling at me for telling the other manager that she snatched a receipt out of my hand, trying to deflect that she did that, saying that in my family I have a bit of a strong grip and that I tend to take things a little too hard. Bullcrap. I'm calling it right now. That's cap. That's bullcrap. That's fish. That's just a load of barnacles. Okay. She does. Whether you are strong or not, you can still gently take something out of somebody's hand. You don't see dudes that have gone to the gym, lifting weights, building their body up. The dudes that freaking have muscles all up and down their arms, you don't see them snatching things so hard that it could rip somebody's arm off. They very gently take it. It is not your muscles' fault that you took it way too aggressively out of my hand. That is your fault and your fault alone. Again, and I'm gonna make this very clear here. These are opinions, okay? You don't have to have the same opinion. Just let me know in the comments what your opinion is, and I'll just heart the comment because you deserve to have your opinion heard. Unless you're going to be disrespectful about it. Again, if you're going to be disrespectful about it, I'm going to remove your comment. Because I don't take disrespect here. This is a channel where we talk nicely to each other. We play nicely here. You are going to be disrespectful, you are not going to be here. Again, that's just a fair warning. Everybody that's been nice so far, and that has been just awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep on watching if you like. Maybe like it if you did, and subscribe. But back to what we were doing. It is not your muscles' fault for taking it too far. It is your fault. You have to be in the mindset to go, okay, gently grasp it. Firmly grasp it in your hand. Firmly grasp it. Firmly grasp it. You know, you gotta, it is your decision to grab it lightly or to grab it hard. That is what she said. Anyways, it is your decision. Not your muscles, not anybody else's, yours. And if you grab it way too aggressively, that is not my problem. That is yours. Period. But we worked there. I worked there for some time, and it was horrible. I didn't like it. And again, like people have been telling me, you're going to have a job that you don't like. Well, yeah, you are going to have a job that you don't like. There are jobs out there that people get that they're just... I wouldn't be surprised if every morning they wake up and they realize they have to go to work, they contemplate taking a melatonin and going back to bed. I know that you're going to have a job that you don't like. But it is up to the employer and the employees that work around you to make it somewhat enjoyable. And if they're not going to do that, then they are not worth anything, okay? And I'm the type of person that thinks that every nice person on this planet is worth everything. Okay? Their worth cannot be explained because they're worth so much that you couldn't buy that if you tried. So when I say that somebody isn't worth something, they are really not worth it. They are not good people. So, I hated working there. And it was because, again, of the employees. Like, there were some customers that came in that were just like, holy crap, what is wrong with you? But that was it. There were some customers. Like, 1 in every 40 that would come in would be like that. But that was about it. And the 40 that would come in would be like, very like maybe groups of 2 or 3 every god dang, every 20 minutes. So it wasn't very bad. But we have that, and then we have the last person. Holy Jesus, I am not saying his name. For the sake of my left nut, I am not saying his name. So we're just going to name him Steve, okay? Steve is a pedophile. Yes, you heard me correctly. He is a pedophile. He was charged in 2014 with several counts of owning child pornography. He was arrested, or he wasn't arrested. He was charged with it and had to pay out to the parents. He is not supposed to be in contact with children for 10 years. It has only been 9, and he's still in contact with children. In fact, his business is based around children, and he has multiple teenagers working for him. One of them was me. Not anymore. People like that should not exist. But Steve was just, oh my god, not only was he a pedophile, he was just a piece of garbage. If you were in what we called the front line, which was the area that we took customers' orders, which every single time we called it the front line, my brain went, the front lines of what? What are we fighting? The front lines of what? What am I supposed to be fighting over here? What is happening? Right? So, like, it makes no sense that we called it that. But while we were while we were out there, for some reason, you couldn't have a small, unnoticeable headphone in your ear. Which if you know me, I need music to work just at all. I need to have something playing, and mainly it's Metallica, because it helps me, it gives me the energy that I need to keep going. So they'd get mad at me time and time again for wearing one headphone and keeping my volume low so that I could hear them. They'd get mad about that. So he would just constantly get mad. And then we had this other problem of them threatening to send people home. Now, when it came to sending people home, they had very poor excuses for it. One of them made sense. It was too slow. We don't need all of you today. One of you can go home. Right? That makes sense. The other one was because we didn't have much to do, right? So, like, because it was getting winter time, we didn't have much to do. We would clean everything up, stock everything, and then once everything was done, we'd just sit in the front and talk to each other for a little while. And then when we talked, we'd just have fun. Well, one time, Steve came out while we were talking, and he walked up to the front line, and he said, "Hey, y'all need to be doing something. Y'all need to be doing something. We're going to send one of you home." And it's like, dude, we did everything. We did everything that you asked us to do. Everything that needed to be done. What do you mean we need to do more? There's nothing to do. So we had that problem. And then we had the problem of people threatening to send you home if you didn't listen to something, right? And it was mainly stupid, right? Like Kathleen, one time, we every time we closed up, we have a window that we would serve people food. Kathleen, at one time, we had bars that we were supposed to put in the window. So she, at one time, got mad that nobody had closed it. Nobody had put the bars in the windows yet. So while I'm cleaning the frickin' counters, and my buddy Cody, again, he was awesome, that's why I'm saying his name, was standing behind me, talking to me, cleaning his side of the table while I'm cleaning the other side. Kathleen walks over to the window, looks at the bars, and says, "Somebody needs to bar the windows." Ma'am, you're standing right there! I'm sorry. That right there, that gets me angry. Okay? When you have the audacity to go up to something, notice that it's out of place or not locked, stand right next to it, then look at somebody else and say, "This needs to be done," you're an idiot. Do it yourself. You're standing right there. You noticed it. This is a little rule that I love having anywhere. If you see it, you fix it. Now, if it's something you can't fix, that's fine. Ask for help. But if it is something as small as locking the window or locking up something or turning a machine off and you're standing right next to it, do not look at somebody else and ask them to do it. Because you're standing right there. You can turn it off yourself. There is no point for you to be asking somebody else to turn it off when you can very easily do it yourself. Especially since you are the manager. It is your job to lock things up. Again, I'm sorry for the yelling. When it comes to that, it gets me heated up because too many people that I know will do crap like that. And it's just annoying. Not only is it inconsiderate and disrespectful, I guess not disrespectful, but it's an inconvenience to everybody else because they're trying to do their job and you are pointing out the obvious things that you can fix very easily and you're telling them to do it while you're standing right next to it. And it wasn't like we had to go into the back and get the bars. The bars were put right under the window that she was standing next to. So she could have very easily bent down, grabbed the bars, put them in the windows, and walked away. But no, she had to look over at two employees that were already cleaning, one of them being me, and saying, somebody needs to bar the window. Again, you're standing right there. Do it yourself. Okay, so that's enough of Retreat. I'm sorry for the ranting about Retreat. That's just how garbage working there was. Now, we have this. This is a branch of Fairbridge that I worked at that makes me just furiously angry. Okay? So, this is the one that I work at right now. I'm about to quit very, very soon. But Fairbridge, this one location where I live, is fairly close to my house, so I can ride my bike there and get there fairly easily. This Fairbridge has a manager named Anne. She is a piece of crap. She's a piece of crap. Her little assistant manager, Des, is a piece of crap. And Richie, our laundry person, is a piece of crap. Let me tell you why, okay? Anne thinks that she can control anything and everything, okay? If you even dare walk in there with your phone in your pocket, she will try to tell you to take it out of your pocket and put it on a desk, okay? Now, let me tell you something. She can't do that. She cannot do that. She may be the boss, but having your phone on you as your personal property is your right as a citizen. She cannot take your personal property away from you. Well, she tried to do that with me. She tried to take my phone away from me. Why? Because she didn't want me to have it. Not because of any actual reason, but because she didn't want me to have it. And let me tell you something. Anne and Des seem to both have a God complex. Okay? Now, if you don't know what a God complex is, it basically is they think that they're God. They think that they can do whatever they want, whenever they want, and there will be no consequences for it. So, Des, I remember this, the other day, she got mad at one of my coworkers because she asked a simple question. Why? Because Des was stressed. I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm going to tell all of you this right now. That is not a reason to get mad at somebody, okay? I don't care if you're stressed. Stop, think logically, and go, okay, they have done nothing to cause my stress. I'm not going to get mad at them. Get mad at the source, not the people around you. That is called being a decent person. Des will get mad at anything. She will whine and cry and just she'll beg for the pity all day, all night. Why? Because she's just a wimp. And another thing, Anne, she again thinks that she can do whatever she wants. I called my mom the day that she tried to take my phone from me. I called my mom, and I told her exactly what was going on. She was trying to make me take my phone out of my pocket and set it on the desk. So my mom had me put her on speaker, and she said, "You do not get to make me put my phone on the desk." And I don't know why I said that like that, because I just realized that would be her talking about me, not her talking about herself, but just roll with it. She said, "You do not get to make my son take his phone out of his pocket and put it on your desk, because it is not your personal property. You can ask him to do that, but you cannot make him. You are his boss. You pay him to work. You are not his mother. You are not his teacher. You do not tell him to take his stuff out of his pocket and put it on the desk." And she tried to sit there fighting about it, saying that Richie, our laundry person, had seen me on my phone playing games and watching videos. I didn't do that. Let me tell you what I do when I'm at work, okay? My phone sits in my pocket, and I will have one headphone in one ear. Or in this case, because I have overheads, I will have one on and one off so that I can hear, but also so I can listen to music while I'm working. Supposedly, our laundry person had seen me looking on my phone and something like that. Now let me tell you another thing. I only ever take my phone out of my pocket when working to either respond to my dad, because believe me, when it comes to talking to my dad or my mom, I need to basically respond immediately when they text me. Otherwise, they'll worry that something's wrong. So, to make sure that they don't worry and that they know that everything's fine, I'll pull out my phone real quick, shoot them a quick voicemail saying, hey, yeah, I'll respond really quickly, like in a rushed way, and then I'll take it off, put it back in my phone, or put it back in my pocket. That's it. So, immediately, that's debunked. She did not. And one thing that I know is that one of my coworkers, he's autistic, right? So instead of putting a headphone in and watching videos, sometimes he'll take his phone out and he'll play a video and he'll set it on a desk or the cart and watch it while he's cleaning and stocking. And sometimes he'll walk up to us and show us something for a minute and then we'll go back to working. Which again is fine. We're getting the work done. It doesn't matter, right? So, and again, I guess that's more logic than I guess they were prepared for. If you think about it, if you stop and you think about it logically, if I were to say, as long as the work is getting done, it doesn't matter how you do it. It just depends on if it's getting done and if it's done properly. Would you think, oh, that's too emotional? Or would you go, yeah, that makes sense. That makes plenty of sense. I mean, as long as it's done properly and it's done the way they want it, you don't need to worry about how you do it. Just as long as it's done and it's done professionally, nobody cares. So, apparently they were getting mad that he was doing that and they blamed all of us for it. So they were saying that. And then here's how you can tell that somebody is lying. She switched her story mid-story. She said, and I quote, that guests had seen them on their phones while they were working. And my mom goes, okay, did you see Daniel on his phone? Well, they were on their phones. Okay, that wasn't my question. Did you physically observe Daniel himself on his phone? And she goes, well, no, I haven't. But our laundry person did, and then she switched later to guests have seen them on their or complained about their music being too loud and stuff like that. And I said, I looked at her in a, are you insane way? And she said, don't look at me like that. And I said, no. You just said 2 seconds ago that Richie had seen us on our phones. But then you switched to guests seeing us on our phone. Make up your mind. Which one is it? And she immediately tried to come up with an excuse like, well, multiple people had seen them on their phones. It was different occasions. Then while my mom was talking, she said that she said that she was trying to say that I have a problem with something. And one thing that she was trying to say I was having a problem with is I have a problem with people taking my stuff away from me, right? Because that's not something that some random person has the authority to do, right? If you are my parent, yes, you do. Depending on the situation, yes, you do. But if you are my boss, you have no jurisdiction there. You have no right to take my property. And she's the type of boss, right, where she has taken my coworkers' phones out of their hands. My coworkers are 26 and 41. She's taking grown men's phones out of their hands and they're not doing anything about it. This is not okay. This branch is not okay. One thing I've also noticed that my uncle used to work there. He was talking about it, and one thing that I did notice that was a bit of a problem that at least I saw was one of the cords on the vacuums is cut. Not like cut in half, but like it's got cuts all over it. And there are certain areas where metal is seen, like the wire itself inside is showing, and then there are other cuts that have the insulation, so it's fine. But then there are other parts that you can see the metal through, and that's a hazard. If somebody grabs that cable the wrong way and plugs it in while holding that, and their skin is touching that wire, it can electrocute them. So we have that problem. Then we have the problem of in the pool area, there's a bit of black mold near the windowsills, or on the windowsills. Not great. Really not great. And just like there are some problems. There are some problems with that place. Most of my coworkers are good. They're awesome, except for I have two coworkers who bring their freaking 12-year-old sister to work. This 12-year-old tried to order me around the other day, and I wouldn't let her, so she didn't talk to me for the rest of the shift. But all in all, we have a few problems there. Another problem is Anne seems to be so she seems to think that she is so much of everybody's parent that she has even touched multiple coworkers. And I don't mean like in that way. I mean like put her hands on, touched. She touched my shoulder and like shoved my shoulder once. We were in a meeting, and to prove her point of needing to not touch, she put her hands on every coworker's or every employee's shoulder around the table, and she gave it a firm shove. She did that, and then after she did that, I think before I had a blade on me, which here in Montana, we have a self-protection law, right? It's called stand your ground. So if somebody were to attempt to hurt somebody around you, kill you, or kill somebody around you, you have every right to light them up like a Christmas tree, okay? Because you're essentially stopping the threat from harming you or harming anybody else. So we have that law. So I keep a blade or a multi-tool or of some sort on me at all times. Because I grew up in an area, or I grew up most of the way in an area that if you went outside unsupervised without any protection on you, people were shady around that area. They were really shady. So you always had to have some sort of protection on you. So here, even though I know, you're mostly safe here, I still keep some form of protection on me. Well, I had a blade on my side at one point, and she put her hand on it. To talk about it, she put her hand on it. She got in my personal space, and she rested her hand on my tool. That was a big no-no. Not only did she do that, she tapped my shoulder. Which, I mean, that's a pretty normal thing to do, but I'm uncomfortable with people touching me. In any way, I don't care if it's in the sexual way, I don't care if it's in a normal way. Do not touch me unless I tell you directly that you can touch me, okay? If I say I want a hug, you can give me a hug. If I say don't touch me, don't touch me, okay? Okay. So, we had that, and then, I think it was, what was it? When was it? It was, like, a few weeks before, I was told by one of my coworkers that apparently Anne, the boss there, again, the manager, she had slapped my coworker, my 14-year-old, 14? 15. I think it was my 15 or 16-year-old coworker on the butt as a form of supposed discipline. Let me reiterate this so that you understand. An old woman that looks to be about 65 years old rested her hand in any force on a 15-year-old's left butt cheek in a disciplinary way. She is not allowed to do that. She is not allowed to do that in Montana in any way. So she did that, and that was immediately a problem. So I told her on this day that she tried to take my phone, and we talked to her. She had told my mother that I had a problem with authority, which I'm going to tell you this. No, I don't have a problem with authority. I have a problem with people taking stuff from me when they have no right nor jurisdiction to take said thing from me. So she told my mother straight through the phone that I have a problem with authority. So I'm gonna step back from the microphone because I said it rather loud. I'm gonna step back a bit, but I said when she said that I have a problem with authority, my mother said, "No, absolutely not. No, he doesn't." Because again, if you know me, I'm afraid of authority. Okay, ever since I was little, or actually no, ever since three years ago, when I had a problem with some authorities. I'll tell you about that a little later. It's a roller coaster ride of a freaking 12-year-old girl playing the victim and just bullcrap like that. You know those freaking stories of people who will get anybody in trouble because they're upset or they're playing victim. Yeah, that was one of those times, and it was directed towards me. But ever since then, I've been more cautious around authority. I don't have a problem with authority, but I'm cautious around it. But as soon as she said that, I cut my mom off after she said, "No, absolutely not." I looked Ann straight in the face and I said this. "Excuse me? No, you do not speak to me like that. That is disrespectful. You do not talk to me or about me like that. I do not have a problem with authority in any way. You do not disrespect me to my face like that. I will walk out of this I will walk out of this building right now. You do not speak to me like that." When I said that I'd walk out, she looked me in the face and she said, "The door is right there, sir." So I saluted and I said, "See ya." Walked over to the time clock, clocked out, and left. Which, by the way, here's another problem that no professional building ever, which I'm not, the reason I haven't been calling her building professional is because she's not professional. She thinks she's God. She thinks she can do everything when she clearly can't. And most of the things that she has done is beyond illegal. I told her to her face that I would leave. I already said that. I don't know why I just said it again. But after I left, she did the most unprofessional thing possible. While I was riding away on my bike, she ran outside while frantically putting her jacket on, and she began yelling at me from the front door. Now, one of the Sundays we had a very busy week, or busy month, so we had to clean a lot of rooms, and one of me and my coworkers were bonding, and we were messing around, when you have a good job, you and your coworkers will mess around a bit, have some fun, and I don't mean like destructive fun, like just a little bit. And the autistic coworker that I worked with, he would like lift up a couple of us and like throw us onto the unmade beds. We'd laugh a bit and then we'd get up, make the bed, finish our job, then leave the room. Now notice the word unmade beds. The beds were not made yet, okay? Apparently, one of my coworkers got, and I quote, they actually said this, mortified. They, and I quote, got mortified that we were like messing around and the coworker threw us onto the bed for a second. So they decided to make it seem like we were monkey jumping on the bed when we weren't. We were, messing around, like falling onto the bed real quick, then getting up, immediately cleaning it, immediately making it, and then leaving. Right? So again, it was one of those moments of, it doesn't matter how you do it, as long as it gets done and it gets done right, just do it. So we did. Well, they made a whole problem out of it. And I swear to God, the coworker that I was messing around with, her mother is the most disgusting, vile person I have ever met. Okay? You all know what a Karen is, right? She is beyond Karen, okay? She said in the meeting that we had that apparently whenever she and her husband stay at a hotel, the first place he goes is the bathroom to look for even the slightest of a small stain or a small piece of hair. Something that you can very easily just grab a piece of toilet paper, pick up, and throw away. He immediately goes for that. Then they go to the pillows and tear everything apart to check them. And it's like, dude, your husband sounds like the biggest complainer I have ever heard. I have never heard somebody complain about something so much in my life. Oh my God. So, they made it seem like it was a big old problem and stuff like that. Then a little bit later, when we had this day that I had left, she came outside and she was yelling, saying, "Did you happen to tell your mom that you were jumping on the beds?" Which, by the way, yes, I did. I told her exactly what we were doing, and she said, "Yeah, you were just messing around, and in the end, you got it clean. It got clean. It got done professionally, so it doesn't matter what you were doing in between." Which in certain instances does matter. Like if you and a coworker are in a room screwing each other, then you get back up, put on your clothes, and then clean up and leave. That's a problem. But if you're just sort of messing around, just sort of playing for a second, falling on a bed real quick, then jumping back up and cleaning it, that's not a big deal. That is not a big deal, because you are not tainting the room in any way. So, they are the most unprofessional building I have ever seen. And I don't know why I should be surprised by this, because this is the lowest rated hotel in our town, and I'm not surprised. I can see why my uncle left now, and these people are just they're not good people. It's disgusting. It's appalling. It's just appalling how much they'll complain about the smallest things, but then they'll turn the biggest things into like it's not a big deal, right? They'll turn anything that's really big into a meh, it's not that big of a deal. We'll just half anus it and barely put it together, and then that'll do. It doesn't matter if it sets on fire. It doesn't matter if it can electrocute somebody. As long as it works, it doesn't matter. We have that, right? And then we have the smallest problems, like, oh, your phone is in your pocket. We're gonna make that a huge deal. It's like they're just idiots. They are all idiots, and I urge every single person that watches this video, please do not act like that. I love every person that watches my videos. Y'all are awesome. You guys, every person that has subscribed, all 27, I will say this, y'all are awesome. I will say this, by 30 subscribers, I will be doing a special. So stay tuned for that. Hit that subscribe button so that we can make it to 30, and hit that like button if you enjoyed this. But enough of my rambling on about this. I hope you enjoyed this little podcast-like thing, and I will see you guys in the next one. Please let me know if you want to see me do any more of this, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.